All right, good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. It's your boy, Kevin Thornton, and you have tuned in to the Wellness Architect Show. Today is Monday, September 24th, 2018. It's been a very hot Monday, but we're going to survive. I have an amazing show for you today. I've been excited about this show ever since I got the phone call from Erica about doing this. I started reading part of the book, and it's going to be very exciting. You know, you guys really love our topics on relationships. We're going to take them to a whole nother level. So if you have not, go and get you a notebook or a pen and take some notes. So it's going to be very, very interesting. So we know we want this to be interactive. So if you're watching on Facebook Live, please leave comments. Otherwise, you can call in at 470-251-4647. Once again, 470-251-4647. So don't be shy, call in, have any questions, feel free. And then also, just a frequent reminder, on Sunday, September 30th, we're having our Status Network launch party and empowerment concert. So feel free to come to the Status Network, see all the personalities, get some free food, and just mingle and just get to see what we're all about. So come on and have a good time. With that being said, the lady on my right, Miss Erica, as you know, she's been on my show for once a month. This time's been, I've been blessed to have her twice this month. And she come and bring topics that she think that we all need to hear. So with Erica, I would like Erica to introduce our esteemed panelists today.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Today is a show about relationships, and we're here to present 7 steps to attract a relationship, a love and relationships of bliss, your soul's partners. And I have next to me the Honorable Dr. Ra and her husband, Brother
Ayaku.
Brother Ayaku. I did not want to say it wrong.
We're good. You're my sister no matter what.
Okay, thank you. And so this show, you know, I wanted to present it because, I mean, from page 1, I knew that this was something that was needed in our community. We live in an individualized society. It's all about me, pull your britches up, do it all by yourself. I mean, do it yourself has now become, what is it, like a main thing now.
Right.
And so in that, the side effect of this is that relationships are undermined at every level. I mean, from the beginning, even in from kindergarten on up. So I wanted today to highlight, I thought this book was a rite of passage because it's so, we don't get instruction on how to navigate through relationships, into marriage, how to even date. We're not taught the techniques, the foundational things that you need in order to attract a mate that is good for you and to maintain that relationship throughout the relationship into a marriage, throughout the marriage. And so I thought that this book was a rite of passage. It gives you specific instructions, examples, and it also even has exercises in it that can help you go deeper into yourself. And that's what really I liked about the book, is that it's about healing yourself first. and getting to know who you are. And what I really like about the book is it's specific. Like, we're not going to say get to know who you are. No, they have specific questions.
Right.
Specific exercises for you to do that gives you a deeper meaning of who self is, what type of community did you grow up in, what type of community do you want to build for yourself, do you want to build for your family. And so we need to identify these things before we get into a relationship with someone. A lot of us are just not doing that.
Right.
And so we're basing relationships on superficial things.
Right. And if I could just chime in for a second, you know, as looking in the book, I saw some of the exercises. Coming from a coaching perspective, it's not going to work for you if you're not honest with yourself.
Exactly.
Of where you at in your life. You know, nobody has to know where you're at but you at this moment when you're reading that book. But you have to be truthful about who you are and where you are in your life in order for this book to truly help you the way it can help you. So, yeah.
Absolutely. You have to be honest with yourself. And I mean, they also have like exercises for you and your partner. So I thought that was genius as well, because if you plan on being in a long-term relationship or a marriage with someone, then there are certain things that if you don't get to know now, they're going to create serious issues down the line. And a lot of people you have to get clear about where you are as an individual, where you're going as an individual, and then how do you want to incorporate that into a relationship, and respecting that person as a part of yourself, but also as an individual too. Somebody with their own dreams, their own ambitions, and it's important for you to help them along. And I think that's what your soul's partner is someone that not to take care of you, but to help you fulfill your own destiny as you help them do the same.
Right.
So
I love it. You did a good job. Sure.
Thank you.
No. So without further ado, we're going to get into this book, and then we have other books other things that we're going to discuss later on. Just to touch upon how you can get in touch with Dr. Ra and Brother Ayaku.
There you go.
And some things that they have going on that they've been doing this a long time. Dr. Ra was an associate professor at Georgia State for 23 years. She has more than 20 years experience in relationships. She's taught a course. She teaches a course on relationships, African American relationships, marriages, and families. She also helps women as well. So and men too.
Oh yeah. Because they do it. They have to do it together.
You have to do it
So
together.
I've worked with couples. I've worked with couples because you can't do it by yourself. It takes two.
Right.
So some of the things you were talking about earlier, one of the things I used to talk about in my class too is I would have the class and we would have maybe 8 women to every one man. And I'm like, well, the women are going to come out intelligent about how to do relationships, but then the men don't have a clue.
Right.
So then how do you navigate around that?
Right.
So it's important for both men and women.
Right. And is it hard to attract men to these type of courses?
When I first started teaching the courses, it was a lot of women, and as time went on, I started getting more males, so more men in the course, but it still was proportionately more females than males. But the other side of it too, it said something about how many, particularly because it was a African American class, it said something to the effect of how many men are in college. So some of that may have had to do with it too, because you have a lot more women that enroll in college than men. So, which creates some of the challenges that we have in some of our relationships in our communities. So.
Okay.
Wow. So let's get into your soul's partner. and the first question I would like to ask is, how would you define your soul's partner, and does it have to be a romantic relationship?
Okay.
Well, sure. Based on the book is about a relationship. Okay, so this is the premise. It's the premise about love and partnership, and the premise love. But your soul's partner is just somebody who you have a kindred relationship with, that you decide that you want to go down this journey together with, and the journey of life, together with. And that means when you're going down a journey together with a partner, you have to build your relationship based on practices that you do together, It's a together journey. It's not an individual, I'm going here and you're going here journey, and then we get together 5 minutes out the day. You have to really commit to being a part of each other's life and building on their strengths together and protecting their weaknesses together. So you have to begin that journey, which is a soul's partner says, and I'm going to do this in the journey of life to the end. I have to be that clear on who I am and who I see her to be in my life. So I'm very clear on why we're together and where we're going.
So I'm thinking, because you can have more than one partner in life, but I think for the purposes of this work, you're talking about a romantic, if you want to put that around it.
Right.
But it's also the person who's going to probably be most influential in terms of you, your destiny to rise to your higher self and to reach a certain state of consciousness. Because I think we all come to the planet, according to a lot of the ancient wisdom, we come to the planet to eventually go back to where we came from. It's almost like, and that's what I talk about in the book, it's almost like we leave home because we want to go out and explore, and then eventually we come back home. The same thing, so we left the universe soul, we left God, we wanted to explore Earth, so to speak. And so your soul's partner is the one that's going to help you do this journey and then hopefully make that journey back. And so to help you to reach your highest level of consciousness and to help you to, which I think the ultimate goal for all of us is to unify back with the universe soul, so to speak, with God or whatever we want to call it.
Okay. And that is what because we talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
the universal soul and
right.
universal consciousness.
Right.
It, for those who haven't studied it, it sounds almost foreign a little bit.
Okay. It's almost like because it's a spiritual journey. We come with all these other things. I think we think that we're here for all these, and we all have a purpose. We have things that we want to do while we're here on Earth. But it's according to ancient wisdom, we're on a journey to explore, to experience, and to help humanity, to help the Earth, but also to eventually return back. And so, and their soul's partner is the person that's going to probably be the person that's going to be most influential in terms of helping you to reach that goal. Evolve, basically, that's right, evolve, right.
Okay.
So do you think you really don't know how to attract the right person for you until you realize who you are and what your purpose is in this life? Because once you realize what your purpose is, then the universe can then bring that partner to you, then you guys can together help each other in that purpose.
I'd like to answer that because that's a
And
really
then I
good
do
question.
too.
Thank you.
Because you don't always know what your purpose is.
Right.
So you have to do a good job of learning who you are first. Because when you recognize who you are, then that purpose will unfold. So you can't wait for the purpose to for somebody, because it's not going to work that way. My wife and I, Dr. Dixon, she helps me become a better self to help me in my purpose.
Right.
I would not be the man that I am today without her influence and encouragement, and in this journey, and because we both aspire to get to the same place. We want to become better people. I want to do a better job to society. I want to be a better mentor. I want to have a better understanding of how the universe works. I aspire to that. That's what I want. So again, me meeting her, which is my soulmate, my soul partner, she helps me grow to that level, evolve to that level.
And I like to say, if we live in a culture where we like, there's all throughout the world, and particularly among African people, they had very, very specific ways to make sure that people were healthy, right? And so you wanted to get the best human being that you could. So you had all these ways to make sure you did that. And one of the ways they did it was rites of passage, right? And so if you go through a rites of passage, these are some of the roads you went down. In fact, I don't know if you ever heard of the book Welcome in Spirit Home, or Spirit of Intimacy. Yeah, Sobon Fusame. What she talks about in that book, she talks about how all the rituals and all the things that a couple would go through before they even thought about even conceiving. So they would have to go through a whole lot of things, clean up your wounds, all the things that you would go through, and then once they're conceived, then they would actually talk to the child while the child was in the womb and ask, why are you coming here? And so the child would tell them, because she would go into trance, and the child would tell them why they're coming to the planet this time. And so once the child would be born, then they would actually put the child, because they would know why you're coming. So then they would make sure they put you on the path to what your purpose is and why you're here at this time. Fortunately, we live in a culture where we don't even think about those kind of things. We just, for a lot of us, if we meet somebody, we like them, they look good, we make a good decision, and hopefully sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But when you live in a culture where it's focused like that, then purpose, you would already know your purpose. And the elders and the community would always keep you on that path. Because we don't know, all of us, most of our time, are still trying to figure all that out. Then it'd be almost impossible because, as you grow, you're constantly going through stages of awakening. So we're awakening. And so we might even think we want to do something, and then we might shift later and want to do something else. But I forgot where I was going with this. I get real long with it.
That's okay.
But
that's okay.
In that awakening, right? Sometimes you tend to outgrow people.
Well, that's why. We're gonna get into this because right, because what happens is so let me finish that. So when so we can't necessarily say you're going to know your purpose in advance because a lot of times we're growing into our purpose.
Okay.
But we want to make sure we choose a person who has the right the things that we think are good values. See, I think in this culture we don't, and I do that in the chapter here that deals with how to select a mate. Right. Because we don't get deep into who you're really dealing with and what it is you should really be looking at. And so if you find a person that has good values, a good background, and they're on the path to doing something, and they're doing, then you say, okay, I got this person, we're together, so now know that we share these things, but how can we now help each other continue, find our purpose if we haven't figured it out, and then be supportive of each other if we do find our purpose, once we find our purpose. Because like you said, you might start off in one career and then shift to something else, but whatever it is you decide you want to do, if you got a partner with good values, y'all know what you share in common, you do all the homework, because it's a lot of, do the pre-work, so you're clear. So then after that, now regardless of whatever path we're going down, I still have this good human being in my life, and we are still going to help each other navigate the challenges of life and help us navigate what our purpose is.
So do you think, because that's a lot of homework we have to do, do you think that's part of the problem we have today in society, that we don't want to do the homework to actually truly get to know that person?
Before sex.
Before sex.
Right, and that's what you need to do before sex.
Well, that's right. Well, yeah,
I think so.
There's no question about before you devalue that moment, because that's an extremely valuable moment, and it's been devalued. Okay. Yeah. When it comes to a male, in order to know these things, sometimes the elder brothers have to tell me, and I've always been mentored from a young brother all the way up. There's always mentorship when you're a part of a community. Okay, so I've never been an independent soldier out here. I've always been in a community of brothers, of a brotherhood that always wants the best for their brothers. Okay, and I embrace that. I encourage that. I encourage counseling. I encourage going through classes. I encourage embarking down a road to heighten your spirituality, spiritual awareness, because that's who we are. That's our nature.
Right.
So what happens, sometimes we've fallen off the track of our true nature into a track of something else, and it's caused a lot of chaos in our family lives and our foundation. So sometimes you got to navigate back to that, but you have to want to. You're not going to get anywhere unless you want to. I want to be. She wants to be. We have to want to be. And you have to go through the curves to get there, because it's not as smooth sailing. There's going to be curves.
Right.
But because I know how this began and where we're trying to get to, whenever the stuff in the middle gets cloggy and foggy, I can scrape it out. and I can go back to the place where I know that I saw from the beginning and the place that we're trying to get to in the end, and I'll always hold on to that. Because there's going to be stuff in the middle.
Yeah.
Period. That's how it is, because we're out here in a vast world that's got a bunch of stuff that could happen with a bunch of people.
So in order not to get caught into the middle stuff,
Right.
you've got to do what you call pre-work.
Yeah, you have to do the pre-work because you have to know who you're getting involved with. You see, so and that's one of the things I've talked about all the time with the when I taught the classes, that you first of all you got to be clear about who you are. You know, you have to be clear about, because a lot of us have stuff that we don't even think we have. We think we, and when I talk to the students, it's like we think that it's everybody else.
Right.
That it's not us.
Right.
Right, and that's where we mess up.
So do you think, like I had someone talk to me, they were having issues, and she felt that the husband, some of the things that she's seen in her husband, now she didn't see when they were dating. Is that because they didn't really do the work?
That's exactly what it is. I just had somebody say it to me the other day. Well, he's changed, or he's not the person that he presented to me, or however she said that. And I'm like, he is the same person. You just didn't spend enough time getting to know who you were dealing with,
Right.
and that was there all along. You just, if you had to put more time in, and and got to know who they were, got to know who he was, then he probably didn't change. You just hadn't saw that side yet.
Right.
So in order to do the work to get to know someone else, we first have to be interested in the man in the mirror.
Right.
Exactly.
So, because if you
Or
take
the
the time
woman
to,
in the mirror.
well, the woman, excuse me,
I was running away.
but the woman in the mirror.
Right.
But so this is what I think the first like 3 or 4 chapters really goes into detail about what the self is,
Right.
and how the self is formed through the environment,
Right.
through the individual household. And I think a lot of times, unless it's extreme abuse, extreme poverty, extreme wealth, people really don't consider how much you can have the nicest parents in the world
Right.
and still give you baggage.
Right.
Emotional, you know what I'm saying? You say, I had a beautiful childhood, I don't have any problems, I don't have any, and so I think this does a good job of asking specific questions to help you identify that, because even if you can't answer the questions at the time, I've noticed that, I've gone through those chapters and questions just keep, oh, this is why. You know what I mean?
Right,
And the
exactly.
answers appear later on. Like, I noticed something I wouldn't feel, I'm like, this is where I get this from.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the rigid defense system. I didn't even know there was such a thing, and I was like, I have this problem.
And
Right.
I know I saw Erica last Monday, and she told me the book. It was something that really intrigued me, like in the self-awareness of you learning if you're emotionally unavailable, or if you
Your attachment style, and that's
your
when we get into the
attachment.
parents
Right.
You require a lot of attention and all that kind of
Right.
stuff.
or
And
you're
so-
very distant.
And you're very distant, and it's so fun because I look at myself, because I could tend to be emotionally distant because we're not the most emotional family. So, the love is there,
Right.
but our love language is completely different. So, for me, I tend to, the one who needs a lot of attention, I kind of shy away from. But sometimes I think I may need that for my own personal self.
Right.
So I would, what's your thoughts on that?
Right. Yeah, people just have people have different attachment styles, and even if it doesn't necessarily mean that you're unhealthy, it just means you're different.
Right.
So, for example, you were saying some people say, "Well, I had great parents. I'm not unhealthy." Well, that's probably true. You're probably not. You're probably fine. Some of us really, I haven't met about 3, but some of us are fine. They don't have any issue, But who you are might just be radically different than who the next person is.
Right.
And so that's what creates some of the stuff. So if you have somebody with a secure attachment style, and somebody with one of the insecure attachment styles, and we know that some of this stuff is in theory, but a lot of the people who write this stuff is based on practice. But so somebody who's anxious ambivalent, or somebody who's what were the style? I think one was anxious ambivalence, and what was the other one?
Anxiety.
Yeah,
anxiety.
right. So if you get somebody with a secure attachment style and somebody with an anxious attachment style, then that's going to create some things, because the person who's secure, like, I'm just going down the street, I'm going to do this, and the person's like, oh my God, where are you going? Because they're dealing with issues of abandonment, or they're feeling like you're going to leave them because you're not there all the time, and so people just have different ways in which they respond to each other, different ways in which they attach to each other, and so that creates potential issues and problems in a relationship, although they might still just be okay. So, yeah.
So that's not necessarily a, let's say, strikeout.
No,
no.
Okay.
It's just how do you navigate through it?
Right.
See, that's the thing with couples, right? I know, because I ran for years. I know in and out of relationships and everything, but because we don't realize that we run because we have a little conflict, and we think that well, this person's this or this person's that, or and all those things. But it's just that people just gonna have conflict. There's gonna be some differences. You just have to do the work to say, okay, this is how you are, this is how I am. Can we realize this is how you are and this is how I am? And do we think that we have enough here that we can do this? There's a book called 7 Principles of Marriage. And one of the things he talks about in that book is he says, basically, everybody you meet, there's a set of problems, right? Because nobody's perfect. We all got our little stuff, right? Or our ways of being, our personality quirks and all that. You just have to pick what set of stuff you can deal with. So once you get to know people, you get to know what their stuff is, then you have to make a decision about whether or not you think, and you got to be honest with yourself, because some of us, people have different capacities, right, too. Some capacity to love, capacity to give, capacity to care, capacity for tolerance, for impatience, patience, all those things. And so you just have to decide which set you can deal with, and then make a decision from there. And that's why when you're in the dating, in the dating, you have to do it in a way where you realize it's just going to take time. It's like an unfolding of getting to know. You're not going to know anybody in a month. You're not going to know anybody 2 months. You're not going to know anybody in three months. It just takes time to let it unfold, see who you are. Then if you decide you want to do a relationship, or you want to make a commitment, then you become more assertive about, let's really get down and see who we are and get to know who this person is, because I think this person has potential. But, so that's one of the things that I talk about in the book, taking that time. It's really about taking your time. That's just the bottom line on a lot of it. Okay,
and I want to add on that. What happens is, a lot of times relationships, people don't really communicate their boundary lines when you have a good person. But those things are there with them. No one's perfect.
Right.
You communicate your boundary lines, and that allows you to go to the next realm. See, everybody operates in a realm, and you try to break out that realm, so get to another realm and then another realm. And those are things you have to get through, which, matter of fact, it's in the book. What page was that we was discussing earlier? It talks about bodies. Let me see.
The different bodies.
Yeah,
okay,
the
different bodies.
Right.
Yeah,
right. And you have to get through those. You have to go through those one by one, because they're going to show themselves.
Right.
And you have to communicate those things. So you have to really walk with your eyes open. I'm not saying you're being picky or anything. You just see, men's job. I have to walk with my eyes open. If it's a woman that I have decided that I want to spend the rest of my life with, and she's decided she wants to spend the rest of her life with me, I have taken the responsibility to go through some things, humble myself, endure the journey, endure sometimes the pain in the journey, to get through it. What happens once we feel a little bit of pain or anxiety in a relationship, we rebel, we run, we give up. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to humble yourself. Mm-hmm. Humble yourself, deal with it, and then at the appropriate time, discuss it, and then it's over. It never happens again. Right. It's over. It's poof like magic. It's magic.
That's growth.
It's growth, and it's gone like magic.
So let's talk about the different bodies. And a lot of people, you hear all the time, especially as of late, the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body,
Right.
but we have an energy body,
Right.
That's right.
an astral body.
That's right.
What is that? And why are we hearing about this? Because then we get into energetic wounds
Right. Okay.
that we have to deal
That's
with.
right.
Right.
And we've been hearing about this our whole life. We just haven't paid attention.
Right.
And no one connected the dots of how it applied to yourself,
Right.
to us
Right.
as individuals.
Which is why I thought the book was important.
Right,
You know,
so-
to say how do we put this in relationships. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, it's okay.
But I just want to say something to what he said too. Like, I mean, in terms of, I'll come to that in a minute. When it comes to a partner, right? Like, I'm just talking to my own personal experience, right? So, you know, been out there dating and all that and everything. But when I met Tim, I was really clear. I mean,
That's okay. That's okay.
I was really clear
Depends on
because
which hat I have on.
I had been teaching relationships, and you know, I was real clear. I was like, I use the strategies, right? And we'll talk about that hopefully, right? But I was so clear about what I was looking for, right? And even though he talks about, you know, the challenges you're going to have, we've had moments and everything. You're always going to have flight moments. Right? But every time you go through those changes, I'm like, but he's such a good person. You see what I'm saying? So you find that whatever it is that's significant, important to you,
Right.
and you hang your hat on that,
Right.
right? And that's what you know, we've been together for 15 years now. And that's
16,
what
15,
15, 16, right, that has kept us, because whenever I've had those doubts, those moments, and I'm like, dang, but he's such a good brother, you know, he's got a good heart, all those things that were important to me. That's what you do. That's what I'm saying. So you got to prioritize what's really important to you. And then once you do that, then you know, regardless of all the other stuff, this person has those main things that I really know is out here and it's really hard to find. And after you've been in the dating game for a long time, you know it's hard to find.
That's true.
And I'm going to tell you something about that. The part she just said, this is what we all go through. You, brother, my sister, we go through these things. And what that means is this. We're faced with a moment, and we make judgment decisions on it. We make a decision based on our past, based on our experiences, that prior to meeting me or her or whatever. And then we say, well, there's that one thing I can hold on to that's good enough, that's valuable enough for me to get through this. And then as the time goes on, journey goes on, you recognize that even the thoughts that she had at that time weren't even the real thoughts.
Right.
Come to find out, it was something else going on, but my technique or the style the approach that I was using might have been an approach that she approached in the past that didn't have the same results. So you have to wait for the results to come in. When the results come in, it's like, you know what? I'm glad I didn't make that mistake. Because again, when you meet a person that you know they have good intentions, regardless of the style in which they use, and we know that the intentions are coming from a good place in their soul, which means that no matter what, regardless of the style I use, it's coming from a good place. I want good results. I want a good tiding or good feeding or good breadcrumbs to society or the relationship, because that's who I am. But the road I took might have been a little, questionable, to get there. But then we finally get there and it's like, you know what? I didn't really agree on the style, but it yielded great results. I'm glad I hung in there. And that's relationships. You have to hang in there. You got to go through the journey.
Right. But
You
once
have to go
you
through
got
the
to
journey.
find that person that you think is worth
Right.
it.
And you
That's
have to
the
take that thing, I don't care what part of it is about the relationship. It could be the spice. It could be her intelligence. It could be her beauty. It could be the way that she drives her car. Whatever it is that's good enough for you, that fills a void in you, because relationships are about not the same. She does something different, and I do something different. There's differences, and those differences help make a better me, with us together, where us means we're better together. So with that being said, you just have to go through and be patient, stay humble. Sometimes brothers got to take some bruises, because women, they have
We take them too.
I'm not going to stand out. We all take the bruises.
Hold on.
But you know what? There's nothing more beautiful than really when you have a good person, you have good intentions, you're trying to get to the same place, and you go through that early moment, and then you look in her eyes and see that beauty that you saw when you first saw her, and just smile. No matter what. I don't care what we just said. I'm good.
Right.
And you have to want to go back to that place.
Yeah.
You have to want to go back to that place.
Before you guys tell us about the energy body, I had someone who had a question online. What if he texted me?
Okay.
He wanted to know, because he has taken some time for himself to work on himself.
Okay.
And women have said to him, who have hurt you to where you want to take some time to be with yourself? So why is it such a hard, difficult thing for people to understand that you need time alone to get to know who you are and where you're going at this moment, so you won't make the same mistake twice?
Yeah.
Well, the beautiful part is they're knocking on his door, so he's a special brother, you know, special person, whoever that person might be.
So you're saying a guy said it to him or female said it to him?
No, well, a female said it to him, but he was the guy who, like, you know, he got a relationship and he decided to take a step back and
That's a
really
good
do
thing.
some self-assessment on himself.
Right.
And I guess, you know, he made it aware, you know, this is where, at this space I'm in at this present moment. And instead of looking at it from a positive perspective, oh, no, good that you're trying to get to know who you are better, they looked at it from, well, what did that woman do to you, or how did that woman hurt you to where you don't want to be bothered at this present moment?
Okay, and I can tell you based on personal experience. Before I met my wife, Pat, I also did the same thing. I stepped back. I didn't want to get into a relationship. I wasn't going to get involved. I wasn't going to exercise intimacy, because I know who I am and I know my expectations. So when you step back, that means that you have a long list of your experience in your life journey, and you say, okay, now I'm going to make another list of, I only want to do this, 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 and this, and all these other 20, 30 things I'm not doing anymore. That's an assessment. You have to make an assessment. And I'm not going to do this anymore with a relationship. I will not. I got so clear about my present moment and my future, I was not even going to wrap my arms around another woman until I was wrapped my arms around the woman that I selected to be my woman. I got that. I became that fine-tuned.
And y'all did this at the same time? Independent of each other.
I can't tell you about her. I didn't know her then.
Well, I was just on, you know, I started teaching the class at Georgia State, you know, and I had been doing it for years, and I was clear. So I just know, I'm like, oh, I'm real clear about how to do this thing now.
So y'all pretty much in the same space.
Evidently, because
where y'all.
Yeah, because it depends. Some of the stuff depends on where you are in the life cycle too. Because, like, you know, when you're in your 20s, you're still trying to figure a whole lot of stuff out. You know, you're trying to find yourself. You get 30s, you get a little better, and then when you get around, you know, your 40s, and you get more clear. Yeah. It becomes more crisp. But you know, you have people who still get up there and still be doing the same silly stuff, you know, stuff. But a lot of it does depend on where you are in the life cycle.
Right.
I think in this culture, I want to answer your question. I think the culture is just so much bad information out here. You know, people just so misguided because the culture is on so much other stuff that's not necessarily good. It's got a lot of good things, you know, in terms of technology and, you know, information and stuff like that. But where do you go to really get really good information about how to be a healthy person, how to be in a relationship? There's a lot of information out there, but now you have to go, because of so much information, you got to pull. It's contradictory information. You're on Facebook all the time. You know, you're just pulling, trying to see what's good and what's not good, and which is the unfortunate thing. Although Facebook is a community, you have your community on Facebook, and all these social media sites and everything. But like other cultures were so simple because you had communities that support you. You know, some of us, we do have our church community, and then some of that stuff got some stuff that's challenging. You see what I'm saying? Depending on what your religion and your spiritual system is. So some of that has some challenges, but so I just think it's a lot of just misinformation, and that's why your friend, you know, people say that to him because they just don't know. So you should take some time.
But I want to help your friend because everything your friend's watching. So I'm gonna tell your friend a little secret. Secret is this: when you begin to scrape all that stuff out and you make your list of what you want and what you don't want, and it's there, then this thing called the universal law of attraction.
I agree.
The law of attraction works. When I am clear on who I am and who I want, and it now becomes a part of my default programming because I'm truthful in that mode, and I promise I'll be that person throughout the rest of the remainder of my journey. The law of attraction, universal love, the universal laws, man, they bring it to you. Right. And it just happens. And when I made that commitment, and I backed off, and I worked on myself, and I cleansed myself, and I was open to see, because you have to be open to see. Right. Got a bunch of stuff you can't see. Right. You have to be open to see. See what's in there. Look in a person's eyes. You have to see what's in there. And the next thing you know, she shows up on my doorstep, you know, not per se. And when I saw her, based on the stage of where I was granted that gift, because relationships, male and female, and children, and I get to children later, but they're a gift. When you're good and you've done the right things and you've made the right promises and commitments that you have proven to be the truth in that category, that manner, you'll be delivered a gift. And I was delivered a gift. And it's a gift that I could not fathom that I could have done myself, because I couldn't do this myself. I was delivered a gift. And here's one of my gifts. But she's the greatest gift, but she's one of my gifts. I have many, but she's the top of my gift.
Gift list.
Gift list. So let's get into energy bodies.
Okay.
What is
Back to topic.
your energy body?
Right.
Back to it.
Yeah.
And why are we hearing? Well, you said we hear about it. Does it have a different name?
Well, you'd be surprised how many breadcrumbs are thrown out here in the world that tells you things to hear, and people that are listening and looking, they'll hear it. But those that aren't, it will just pass right by them.
Right.
They say the seeker will receive. But if you're not a seeker, you're not going to see it or catch it. You won't follow the crumbs. But seeker will see it. So I'm going to let Dr. Ra go into more about the details of that.
Yeah. So everything is energy, right? So everything is. So our physical body is just a more concrete aspect of energy. And so they talk about the energy body being like the etheric body. So it's like the way in which you get your life force. So it's like if we're connected to the universe and we're connected to the universe, soul, and spirit, and everything. So it's the way in which we get our life force. So the etheric, that's our etheric body. The astral body, from what and I'm just saying what other people have said, has more to do with how you're connected to other dimensions. And so the only way I can explain it is, it's almost like when you go to sleep, or if you go into meditation, and you go inside and you begin to make the connections to the eternal aspect of who you are, you make that connection to spirit, then now that's when the universe can talk to you, right? And so that's the aspect of yourself that you can now connect with the universe, or the higher energies and powers that can speak to you and guide you and lead you and tell you what to do. Some people, when they talk about the astral body, they talk about it from the standpoint of being able to connect. Y'all have heard of the fourth dimension and all that, being able to connect with the fourth dimension. And then I just read something recently where they talk about how the astral body, if depending on, because some things can talk to you in dreams. They believe, African people always believe that, among the Akan people, they call it the sassoon, that's a part of your body that can actually leave, go to the universe, get answers, and come back. And I know that to be the case because it happens in my life all the time. Right. You go to sleep, you're perplexed about something, you're not sure. And I used to do it, but I didn't know I would. I would just, and I wake up, it'd be crystal clear. And then I realized what was happening, then I became intentional about it. So I'm like, okay, I'm not clear about this, so I need some answers. And I go to sleep, and you wake up, and it's clear. So, and what I was reading the other day, they were saying how once you do certain kinds of work, right, and you get yourself to a certain level, people who are able to, when you go to sleep, people who gets to a certain level of the involvement and development, they actually now can go to the fifth dimension where the higher beings begin to talk to you. So those are people who are seers, people who can see, people who can, and prophets, people like that, because these visions come to them in their dreams, or you can do it in meditation.
Or you can just do it in daily living.
Well, some people have the gift to be able to just go into that mode at any point, any time. Or the gift, or they have developed to that point. Some people come to the planet more awakened anyway, because it depends on where you are in your journey. So if you come to the planet already at another level of evolvement, that's why they say some people are clairvoyant and they can see, or seers, because some of them have already come more evolved. But all of us have the ability, depending on where we are in our journey, all of us have the ability to develop these skills. So that's what we mean by the astral body, pretty much.
So what are energetic wounds then? If this is connected to an eternal source, right? And this internal, it can't be harmed or touched by anyone exactly.
Well, see, the etheric body is just your energy body. So this is like, they talk about it like this. They talk about how you have a leaf there, and once you move the leaf, or if you do something to the leaf, then this is how they discover it. you can still see this energy around it. So it's like your aura. So it's like the lower part is like you have different levels of your aura. So you have the etheric body is like 6 inches. 6 inches right around your body, and it's the thing that feeds you. It's almost like your connection to the universe, and this is how you get your life force, right? And this is the thing, your vital force that helps you be alive, right? So that's one aspect. So when we talk about energetic wounds, it's almost like just like I had said, when you have a physical wound, right? Somebody hits you or something happens, there's you can see it, right? And if you don't heal it or if you don't take care of it, then it could attract parasites, and it could get worse, and it could actually lead to your demise. Same thing with energetic wounds. So if you don't address, because when anything that happens to you, it's not just happening to your physical body. If you have an emotion, it's happening to your emotional body, and it's happening to your etheric body. Because what happens a lot of times for people is that they when things happen, first of all, it leaves a scar or a crystal, so to speak. And so you have to do energy work to help break the crystal. Because if you say crystal, from the standpoint, it becomes part of your memory. But that's why a lot of us can't seem to get past certain things, because it becomes part of the memory. So, but that's energetic, right? So you have to clear that. But if you talk about it from the standpoint of vital force and the etheric body and stuff like that, there's 2 ways in which you can block that. 2 ways in which you can make your energy or your vitality lower. There's several ways, but one of them is diet. So if you're eating bad food, of course, that's going to pull a lot of your life force to process and digest the bad food, right? So that's the one thing. But the other thing is, it's like if somebody hurts you and you keep playing that over and over, and you don't figure out how to recover from that, then it could either become a block, where now you begin to become so overguarded, so. And that's energy. So you become overguarded, and so now that's having an effect on your vital force, your life force, or it could begin to drain it. So people, there's other kinds of things that drains your vital force, so like diet, and then all the negative stuff. In any event, it's not healthy. So that's what we mean by when we talk about energetic wounds. It's not just your physical or your emotional body, but it's your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, and your energy body. So that's what we mean by that.
So how do you get rid of them?
And this is what we mean by work.
Right.
This divine work.
This is work.
It's work.
You have Reiki masters. Reiki, I don't know if you heard of that. It helps it cleans your energy field. It cleans your chakras. It gets these attachments off. And a lot of these attachments come when you have intimate connections with people. They leave behind energy. So that's why I refused to even embrace with anybody, because I didn't want the energy on me. Because sometimes you can be, you say, well, how in the world did I go to bed and I'm dreaming about this person here that has no conscious thought before I went to bed? I'm dreaming about something or somebody in the past, because that energy is still on. That energy is still on my wall. It's still there.
Still in your energy field.
It's still there. She's still there. It's still there. So you have to clean it off sometimes, but you have to know it's there. So you have masters, which I'm available sometimes for them. just give me a call. No, but you can clean them off, and you can clean your body clean, and it can do 2 or 3 or 4 sessions. But if you want things to happen in your life, if you want to break the realm of the same old cycle that happens every time and broaden your awareness, expand your territory, expand your awareness to the world, expand your frequency, be able to see the currents, man, and other changes of the sun's rays that allow you to see through things that you don't normally see because you're blocked. You have to seek it. And just to take it one day at a time, go to the sessions, go to class, get mentorship, and be guided through this process, because you have to be guided.
Yeah.
It's not a do it myself. You have to be guided.
Some of it you can. Yeah.
But you're going to places with guides. You're always going to be a guide waiting for you. Always. There's always going to be a guide when you're seeking and you're going. When you're of indigenous, universal love, universal other consciousness, you're going to be guided. There will be people waiting for you that you say, how in the world is that? Because they know.
Seek and you shall find.
And you'll find. And they'll be waiting for you, and they'll get you cleansed, and they'll prepare you for the next stage. And then when you cleanse it, and then they give you the mentor, and then the conscious thoughts, and then next thing you know, you go to the next stage, and then she's waiting for you, and she just ends up being your friend. And next thing you know, she was the best thing ever happened to you. But see, you have to have the intentions and do the work to be of value to get to where you're trying to get to, and that's what these bodies are. That's what they're all about.
And so that's what the exercises.
Those are exercises.
That's what the exercises.
Right.
There are exercises, like we say, at the end of each chapter that help you to see what we mean by work.
Right.
Because, I mean, it's kind of a general term, but when we say work, we mean it's a lot of work.
It is so much work.
It's
And you know
work.
what? No matter how much work you do, you still working all.
It's still more work.
Especially in relationships with people. It's constant work because we are so different. If friends, not just your partner, your friends, your children, you have to always, it's a lot of work to try to stay on, to be your higher self, to rise above,
Right.
you know, and it's just constant work because we all have our own stuff, you know. And even though, you know, teaching relationships, I've found all my stuff, you know, you're like, oh, I got this, oh, that's what I'm dealing with, this is what I see, you know, so that's what helped me, you know, do a better job, you know, but it's still a lot of work to continue to do a better job. So it's always reaching to be that higher self.
And the bottom line is you're deprogramming and reprogramming.
Yeah,
You're changing your coding. You're changing your internal coding, and you're changing your numbers, because everything is numbers. When you change your numbers begin to shift, and you turn that television off. I'm looking at you straight in. Turn that television off. Stop that music that has derogatory lyrics. Okay, and because you're trying to build a better self. So if you're doing that, I can't put a bunch of stuff on me if I'm trying to get through that. It just slows me down.
Right.
It doesn't make me a different person or a bad person, because whatever I watch TV or whatever I listen to, but I'm trying to, if I want to do this, these days we're on a fast pace. We're on a fast pace. So.
Yeah, so we want to stop talking so much and let you, talk
Oh,
more and ask questions.
y'all
Okay.
are fine.
Oh,
Y'all
okay,
are fine.
okay.
Well, I'm learning.
Right.
I'm in class right now.
Okay.
Let me get my piece of paper and my pen over here. So, but what? Okay, so let's get into vibrating higher, taking it to that higher frequency, and using the chakras in order to do that.
Because I do speak about that a lot sometimes, that, we all are, has a frequency.
Right.
And so a lot of times you attract people where you at in your own frequency.
Right.
And so a lot of times you don't want to lower your frequency to be with somebody else because that's who you like. You have to attract.
And that's what the dating tips at the end of the book are about.
Right. So how, and the chakras, a lot of people don't know what chakras are.
Okay.
And for people who say, well, Kevin, or, how can you elevate your frequency? So can y'all expound on that?
Yeah, I like to address that. So the chakras are energy centers. So they say that we have 7, and people say we have a lot more, but in terms of our bodies, there's energy centers, and this is how the life force gets distributed through the body, right? So, but in order to increase your vibration, it just means just real simple things. Diet. I can't emphasize that enough, because if your body, all your energy is going towards breaking down bad food, and then it starts to weigh heavy on your organs, and then that begins to and the organs are starting to weaken. Then you're pulling all your vital force to be able just to survive in your physical body. So diet, exercise, yoga. Yoga. Some of the you asked me that question, but some of the Eastern techniques, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But diet, exercise, yoga, attunements, working with an energy healer. And I think that probably the number one key is meditation, because meditation, it means now you're going inward and you're really letting the universe talk to you, letting the universe heal you, so you can begin to hear, so you can begin to see. So it's all those kind of things. But you're really trying to, if you wanted to really put it in a really a simple way, you're trying to increase your light quotient. And that means you're increasing the light, right? And so when you get to a certain level of doing things, some people are not even going to see you, because your light quotient is so high. You're not even going to. They don't even see you, because they're here, and your light quotient is here. And so, and And so you want to get your light quotient so that you, to a certain level, you can attract that person who's also on that same path. If you're clear about your path and you really are trying to do the spiritual work for the reason why you're here this time, because even though we have a purpose that we are earthly purpose, but we also have a spiritual purpose. And so if you're really trying to be on your journey to get back to that place that we came from, or that union or unity with God, then that means that that's who you should be looking for, somebody who's also on that path.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a first step, first task in this journey. The most important chakra that begins your stage, every revitalization, is your throat chakra. Your throat chakra is critical. What comes out of your mouth, is what we need to clean up. Clean up what comes out of your mouth. Be cautious of what comes out of your mouth, because that's how it begins. That's how it begins. Because what comes out of your mouth, you're calling it into existence. You're creating something.
Well, actually, it comes out of your mind, then out of your mouth.
Well, I'm talking about the throat chakra itself.
Right.
So
right.
I'm working with that.
Yeah.
And so work with the throat chakra. Watch your words.
Yeah.
Watch
Critical.
your words. Watch your words. Your words are life. They're all alive. Watch your words.
Right. And then the other thing is one of the Egyptian, because a lot of the stuff, people don't realize most of these spiritual systems come from black people from Egypt.
And I was going to say, why do you think that we're not, especially in the black community, addressing chakras?
Yeah, we don't know about it. I mean, most of us don't. There's so much stuff coming at you. We live in a culture that's very materialistic, right? And so a lot of the focus is on all the things that's external. The material stuff, I got to get it, and all that stuff.
What that television's telling us to buy a XIX, whatever, new phone, and that's
people,
what everybody's driving for.
Right, so they might not necessarily be on TV now as much as they're on social media, because a lot of young people, they don't even do TV anymore, right? Yeah. So, but social media is constantly selling you something. And I don't think people even realize that's what Facebook is. It's just advertising. It's just what it is. It's just for advertising. So they got everybody to come in and do the social things so they can sell you stuff, right? And so we constantly being bombarded with the buy. So we always focus more on the external kinds of things. And I forgot what your question was. I know I just went to
but anyhow, the
chakras and how to vibrate higher and using that.
Right. You asked me why the black community don't talk about it, right?
Exactly.
Because we don't know about it. A lot of stuff we don't know. So, if you're seeking God, basically, then eventually all this stuff will come to you. So, like they say, seek and you shall find. If you keep seeking and you want truth, because the reason I've encountered stuff is I'm like, okay, I can see through all this, right? So, truth has been my life journey. So, if you're seeking truth, eventually you're going to find it, right? And so, that's going to bring you to all this stuff, because these are all the ancient wisdom, the stuff that comes from black people that we don't even know. People even think they're calling Eastern is really African. They don't even know that.
That's where it all originated.
Right. They don't even know that the people, when we talk about the Tantra stuff comes from the Hinduism, the Hindu practices. And Hindu comes from the Indus people. And the Greeks started calling the Indus people, who were black people, the Dravidian people who came from Ethiopia, they called them the Indus, and it ended up becoming Hindu. And then part of the Eastern have two principles. One of them is Dharma, which is universal laws, and all spiritual systems deal with law, and universal law. And then the other thing is liberation of the soul. But Hinduism just comes from Hindu or Indus Dharma, and that's where they get Hinduism. So Tantra is an aspect of Hinduism, which really comes from black people. That's what we don't know. So most of the spiritual, I've been doing digging, and everywhere I go, even Christianity, all of it comes from African people. Judaism, because people don't realize Moses was raised as an Egyptian, and being raised as an Egyptian means he understood the mystery schools and all the mysteries, and all the magic and all that and everything. But all the Western scholars, when you really dig, say stuff comes from Egypt, which means it comes from black people. And unfortunately, we live in America, and that was part of the thing that had been done to us to make us lose memory of ourselves, our ancestors, and what our ancestors have contributed to the world. But most of the spiritual system, even the East, even Reiki, people don't even realize the person who who found the universal energy, who had made that connection with the energy, was I forgot what his name was, but he had studied under Buddhism, and Buddhism is an aspect of Hinduism, and so that's where all that stuff comes from. So they got the stuff from African people, and then they flipped it around. And, you know, we don't even realize.
But they use that for its strength and power.
Right, they use it for strength and power, but we don't realize that's where it is, and we don't. And so we've gotten Christianized. Not to say, because Christian is a lot there too. There's a lot there, but it's just that, I guess with all religions, there's two aspects of it. One of them, it's several aspects, but one has to deal with law, you know, how you're going to be, because there's laws of the universe. Some of them talk about the law that Moses and the people who do Judaism and all that, they talk about the law because there's laws and there's principles, and if you don't follow those laws and principles, it is going to bite you. And that's what they mean by karma and all that and everything. So you got the laws, and then it's a guide for moral behavior, how you're going to conduct yourself so that you don't bring karma, negative karma to you. But then the other side of it is the mystical side, and it's the side that deals with the stuff that most of us don't get access to. And they used to have that only available for priests and priesthoods and stuff like that. That's the stuff we don't know about, and this is where the Tantra and stuff comes from. So there's those other sides of it that most of us don't know because they don't teach it to you, because they know the power in it.
Right.
So what they did is they took the power and kept it for themselves, and kept it for the priesthoods, and kept it for people to be able to use it the way they want to, and then they just give us the little stuff. So if you don't dig, you're not going to find it. And so. And
that's why things like these books are written.
Right.
To give you information that they're not trying to give you.
Right. Exactly.
You know, in order for you to start a journey of universal consciousness, awareness, togetherness, a stable balance in yourself, to where the stuff out here doesn't bother you. If she's arguing with me, it doesn't bother me. We can go through it. We can handle this. You don't allow transference of energy. You don't accept transference of energy. When you know these things and you operate like this, you become a person that's kind of outside the box, and you're looking in. So all these things, it doesn't affect you. You can walk through it, and you can help those that you're confronted with walk through it as well. And they'll I need that. You know, they need that.
And it can affect you, but because you're constantly rising, because we're still human. You know, you're still gonna. Yeah. But you're constantly, but you know the path you're on, so you know that you're trying to rise to your higher self constantly. It's a lot of work, and so you continue to do that. So then you realize, okay, let me get back. Let me let my one of the reasons relationships have a tough time is because of our egos, and the ego is really just a guard for the soul. That's that people don't realize that it's the thing that keeps your soul keep you from being wounded. So a lot of our times our ego just it's on guard to keep from wounding. But what happens is it gets so in the way, then it makes it difficult for us to even be able to have a healthy interaction with somebody.
Wow.
And then our ego begins to, because
it takes a life of its own.
It's a live force within itself.
Right.
And you'd be surprised how it begins to drive your ship.
Right. Your ego's driving your ship.
They're driving your ship now.
Right.
You know, making you make decisions that they're not ready yet to be made.
Right. So.
Okay. But that's, again, another story. Because there are a whole bunch of facets to this that we can go into, but we're trying to do overviews because we only have a short time.
Okay. I feel like we're still talking too much with it.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So why did you decide to structure the book the way that you did?
Yeah, we went back and forth with it and everything. I think what I realized that we have to realize how much work that you have to do first. And I thought about doing two books, right? One that dealt with yourself, and then one that deals with how you be in a relationship. But we decided to put it all in one book. But the first chapters really focus on you doing the internal work yourself. So you have to do the work yourself, and then once you start to explore, and you can do it together. Actually, you can do it together if you decide you want to do it together. But some of the chapters are designed for you to do it together, and some of them are designed for you to do your own work. But that's why I did it, because I know that it's going to take your own. You have to do work for yourself in order to be a healthy person, to get the person that you probably potentially want to attract in your life, so that you can have a good, healthy relationship.
And the exercise are designed, first off, if you're in a relationship and you're trying to broaden your your skill set or your vibration.
Right, your skill set. Right.
That's why the exercise it is, because it stimulates conversation.
Right.
Conversation that you would have not normally had.
Yeah.
And we're talking categories that will make you say, and then you go to this thing called Google and you research those words and terms and you end up expanding on that topic. So you have to stimulate conversation.
Right.
You have to go through the process together at some moments together. So therefore you're always on the same page. You're always going to have good conversation. And so no one's going to be talking about one thing that the next one's not aware of. You're on the same page.
Well, then I wasn't expecting, but that's a good idea because people constantly need communication.
Yeah.
So that and sometimes you don't know what to talk about or how to approach subjects that are uncomfortable.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
People have, I'm just going to throw a number, 45 years on this planet here of a whole bunch of stuff. And how are you going to communicate all those things about you in 5 minutes or 1 month?
Right.
You have to take time to communicate who the things, what the things, how the things, and why the things took place that makes you do the things you do today. You know, and sometimes stimulate conversation this way, and even if you put the book down and then you begin to talk about each other.
Well, see, when we did this, I really was looking at us for people to take this really serious.
Right.
Like, really go through and do the work. You have to, I mean, I'm trying to form a relationship with somebody. I don't know anything about them. And so things will reveal themselves over time. But if you sit down and go through some of this stuff, then you can just like, okay, well, did you do this? Oh, that's how you think like that? Oh, that's the reason why you do this? Hey, how you doing? Oh, sorry. You know, so then you'd be like, oh, because this is why he does this. Or this is why I should do that. Oh, I see. Oh, this is why I'm acting like this. This is why I do this. Oh, I see. So that's what is, you know, designed to do. Most of us don't do it, but like people who are part of church communities, where they have to do marriage counseling, or if they're part of some other kind of spiritual community, it's part of, if you're going to be a member of our community and you get married, you got to go through this counseling. Or you got to go do pre-marriage counseling. And if we just, you know, so.
So, do you know why they do that? They try to clear out the stuff.
Right.
Because now you're embarking down an entirely new road.
Right.
It's an entirely new journey. And these things, you got to leave them back of you. Your yesterday, you got to leave them back of you. Of course, you use some of the information or tools that you learned to help you navigate that road together. But your yesterday is over. It's about tomorrow. You and this person tomorrow. That's why you go to class together. You do things, you build together. You do things together. Will help build and broaden and strengthen your relationship.
And then you had a question here about we had talked earlier, or questions earlier about dating, because that's one of the things I always like to talk about, because I think a lot of us really don't know how to date, right?
Right.
We don't have a clue about how to do it, right? And so you potentially, some of us may have already lost our soul's partner for this life. You know, that, but just, you know.
That's so disappointing, isn't it?
No.
Okay, that's a perspective.
No.
We missed them. I don't mean lost, we missed
delayed.
them.
That's
Well,
all.
No, because
It's just delayed.
we missed them.
It's
Or we
not
done
saying
already ran them
delayed.
away
It's
already.
just delayed, okay? Because sometimes we think that we're in 100% control of all of our moves and all of our steps and all things that we go through today in our world, in our journey. But sometimes we're not. We might not always be in control. Sometimes we got to learn and go take some tests and to you know, to be worthy. If I say I want this, I have to grow to be that.
Right.
I
So
can't just want this and not be that.
No, so what I'm saying is, like, you know, there's an
I just had
idea.
to fix that.
Right.
Nobody lost nothing. Okay?
There's an ideal
And we're still good.
There's an ideal concept that there's a twin soul, right? And your twin soul might not necessarily be with you in this life, because they might be ahead of you or behind you, so you might not even meet them in this life. So when we talk about soul's partner, we're talking about the person in this life that's going to help you get closer to your journey. And so that's what we're saying here. So like I said, some of us may have already blown it, right? But that doesn't mean you can't meet somebody else, because you have to, part of this whole thing is lessons, you know, so you're learning lessons. So almost anybody can teach you a lesson, as long as they don't, you know, be so bad that, you know, it causes some major damage or something that leads to, you know, a fatality or anything. But there's always lessons that you can learn from whoever you know, if you're in a relationship with somebody, you learn more about yourself or more about somebody else, and you know, so there's always lessons. And so the person that you even end up marrying might not even be the ultimate person for you, but there's something there for you to learn and grow and help you get closer to your destiny.
Right, to your purpose.
Yeah, to your purpose,
so,
right.
Is that Disney wanting to marry your soulmate? Is that
Well,
is that, because
it's called love.
you don't hear this very often.
It's called law of attraction. If you believe
attract
it
them
in
with-
your soul,
Yeah.
then you know it has the ability to become like Disney hole, you know. But anyhow,
Dreams do come true.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
And you might end up, you're going to attract who you are. You see what I'm saying? You're going to attract what you're putting out and who you are. People, that is so real, you know. So if you vibrating at low levels and you're doing stuff that's not necessarily healthy, you're probably going to attract those kind of people. So then what happens is now y'all got to work through all the stuff. So, you know, if I'm eating bad food and I'm drinking and, you know, doing the things that's not good for your spirit spiritually, you know, drinking and drugging. I'm not saying because everybody whatever got to go through their journey and whatever they do, but things that's going to detract from your life force, which means you're going to be unhealthy now. You're going to be sick, right? So then you're going to attract other people who are going to be sick. You know, now y'all got to use your life force, helping each other be, you know, going back and forth to the hospital. It's just things things just as simple as that, you know. So
well, us that occupy this community, as indigenous people, we have the power of creation. He said he created us and blew breath on us, and we're part of him. So we have the power of creation as well. Creation, what to what? It means I can create the home that I like. I can create a relationship that I like.
right.
You know, I can create whatever world that I see in my mind. I can create it. I just have to do the work.
You see me keep saying the
Yeah,
word, right?
you have to do the work. It's just it's once you do the work and you have evolved to a certain level of in relationships, not just with you and your partner, but in all things, then magic does happen.
Okay,
But
so
until then,
I want to talk about the dating stuff. Right?
okay.
Because what happens is a lot of us we're dating, and we don't have any a skill set for it, and so that's the other thing. So, like when you talk about how we go through the culture, nobody teaches us how to do these things. So when I would teach my class, the first thing I would say on the first day is most of us get these 12 years of education, right? And we finish high school. Then if you go get a bachelor's, that's what's that?
4 more
16.
years. Right.
Then if you go on get more education, I think I had about 25 years of education before I started, you know, my career, right? But then nowhere in that education did anybody teach me how to do a relationship, and that's the crux of it.
Right.
A lot of us don't know how to do a relationship because nobody ever taught us. Now, the only example some of us have is what we see on television or our parents.
Right.
And so some of our parents may have not did such a good job with that. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? They did the best they could with what they were working with. So that's our model, our role model. So we have that role model. Then we have all the dysfunctional stuff we see on TV that's insane. Then you have the fantasy. So they teach us the fantasy and the insanity. And then we have our parents, potentially, or whoever else was in our life when we were coming up. So some of us, and some of you were raised with a single parent, you may have never even seen a man and a woman or two people interact in an intimate relationship. So you don't have a clue what it even looks like, right? And so we don't have a skill set for how to do this thing. So now that also translates into the dating arena. Most of us, we just go out and you meet somebody, we go on a date, but we don't have a skill set for how to keep it going.
Right.
Right, and so one of the things that people have different ideas about this, but one of the things that I think is that when you go out, you just put your representative. Because I hear the young people say,
Yeah.
I just saw his representative. Well, you should have took more time to see the other side.
Right.
Right, but you put your best foot forward. And so then it was like, well, about the best foot forward thing. And I'm like, treat it like a job interview, right? Because I remember early on when I was dating, I made every mistake you can make in dating, right? And I was like, well, I'm just going to be me. If you don't like me,
Right.
Too bad.
A lot of people say
Right?
that. A
Right.
lot of people say that.
Oh my God, that's what you don't want to do. if your stuff is not the good stuff, you see what I'm saying? You want them to see all of the best of you.
Is that tricking somebody though?
No, you want them to see the best
But
of you.
isn't that you?
Right? It's the best of you who
Isn't
you
that
are.
you?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
In my best
I'm not-
moment.
Right.
I'm not
and
saying-
you have to be.
right.
You have to want that. You have to.
Right.
That's
That's
what you
the
want.
thing.
You want them to see that, and then when they see that and love that and cherish that,
Then they
and
be
then
like,
it becomes
well-
a basic day-to-day practice. That's
Right.
who you are.
So what happens is you
'Cause
put,
you
like I
have
said,
that.
best practices, right? So you be your best self. You keep being your best self as much as you can. Even as in this 3-month period, you still being your best. 1 year into the marriage, I'm still being my best self. you know, I'm still being my
So
best self.
eventually
It becomes you.
Right, it becomes
Right,
you.
exactly.
Becomes
So,
you.
and then when the person sees all the, like, wow, she got this going on, you got that going, then they start to see all that other stuff. They be like, well, you know, God, but this is so much, so good. Maybe I can just tolerate that.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so, but you put the bad stuff out, they're gonna run fast. Did you put that out early in the relationship,
I
or early
always
as you get
thought
to
that
know?
was kind of ingenuine, right? I mean,
Isn't that you though?
it is. I mean, now that it is all me.
Right.
Right.
It is all you.
Right.
Right, but see, I'm saying, so you let them fall in love with what's good, right? And hopefully the bad stuff is not so bad that eventually they have to leave anyway. Because if it's that bad, you need to really work on cleaning that up, you know. And most of us know what's not good. Some of us don't, because some of us are in real denial about. We don't even realize that some people really think it's everybody else. They don't even realize their stuff really got some stuff that they need to work through and work on. But the point is that if you keep being your best self, then eventually that just becomes who you are most of the
Right.
time.
You end up growing up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're more like, okay,
And
well,
then you
she's
become
not
that
so bad.
elder.
Okay, so
Right.
so you know, well, I really don't like that, or I don't like this, and this is bugging me, and this is, but gosh, this is so good,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And that's what you meant. We talked about this a little bit earlier, and he's like, you gotta hold on to the things that this is how.
Right.
By
This is the good.
constantly putting your best.
Right.
So if you because I'm gonna tell you, my grandmother told me, you don't start nothing you're not gonna keep up.
Now that's true.
Right.
Don't do that.
Right. That's
Like, so
that's
you know you're not
wisdom.
gonna be cooking, don't start cooking. You see what I'm saying? Don't be. I'm not saying fake nobody out. Right. I'm saying. So you know. I'm not saying don't cook, 'cause, you know, we all should nurture each other. We should all stroke each other, and that's the other thing that we really could learn to do as a community. That it's okay to stroke each other. It's okay to do nice things for each other. It doesn't mean that we're buying into somebody else's ideals about these gendered roles and all that. If it's something you enjoy doing, then you do it because you love your partner and you want to do what makes them happy, right? If it's not something you don't enjoy doing, if you ain't really into cooking, you're like, baby, I'm not really into that, you know, or and you'd be surprised how many men cook, you know. So it's those kind of things. So we have to let go of all these notions of
The
the culture.
stereotypes.
Yeah, the culture sells us a bag of goods. It really does, right? And it tells men's supposed to do this, men's supposed to do that. That's all ridiculous, right? But it still doesn't mean we still can't do these nice things for each other. And so I forgot where we're going, but you know, I'm just be going.
No,
on
but
tangents.
your higher self
yeah,
on a consistent basis
Basis.
is good.
right,
It's not false because that's who you are. Because you couldn't do it if it wasn't you.
right,
You couldn't do it.
right.
And so once you do it consistently, then and then you see the rewards that come out of that, then you can't wait to keep on doing it.
Right,
This is good stuff.
right,
All of a sudden, I'm getting everything I wanted. And I'm not shooting myself in the foot along the way.
right.
It's just coming. And then the other stuff can seep out here and there, and then y'all can talk about it. Because even that stuff makes it balanced, because life has to be balanced.
Right.
So that comes out, but I know it says that my intentions is this is who I intend to be, this is who I want to be, this is who I want to grow to be, because I'm always evolving. So
Right.
I don't want to stay in this, I call it, it's a never-ending cycle. It's a glitch. People stay in the cycle because they don't grow to the next cycle. You have to evolve by being, choose, pick a side. If you want to know and you want to see what it feels like, if you want to see what a life of bliss feels like, what a life of relationships with male and female or whoever you may choose, then you have to do the work and say and embrace this and do the job. Because even if the next person beside you don't start to operate that way, but because you're showing them how to operate that way, they're learning from you, and then they begin to operate that way.
Yeah.
Okay, because it rolls over, it blends into other people. So then
That is so
all
true.
your friends begin to act that way.
And I want to say that
And then if the friends can't act that way, you end up getting new friends. That's how you grow.
and I have to say that because he's my role model for that, you know, because I got some stuff I had to really, and that's the other thing too. You have to know you and know your stuff. So people, like I said, people always say it's somebody else. I had to pick somebody that I know who could deal with me. That's the other thing. So you know who you are. You know how complicated you can be in certain areas, or who, you know, some of your baggage and stuff like that. I knew I had to have somebody who had the patience to deal with my stuff. So it's not just about who he is. It's about who I am too, and making sure I pick somebody that I know that can deal with me. You know, you have to know. Some of us know we're not easy. And so, you know, choosing somebody that can deal with that side of you is also critical and important.
You know, we can have another conversation
Just
about.
going, oh.
Right, we can.
Do you have any more questions?
But
You're fine.
But you know, I know there's a format, but see, there's a thing on this that was created, men and women, and she has a certain cycle, which is the most beautiful thing in the world, a 4-week per month, every month cycle from the day she's born over to the day she leaves, and we have to know those cycles to know what's going on, and to be patient through that, and that's our job to do that.
You talking about as men?
As men with a woman, you know.
It's called having women's skills.
Right, and you have to know that. So
you have to be mentored to know that.
When I mentor young men all the time, I am a mentor. I'm a coach, I'm a teacher, I'm a trainer, because I believe in giving and sharing. If I have it, I'm gonna share it. If you ask me, I give you all that I have. But anyhow, you have to know those things because that's how we're made up. Because, you know, again, I said early on, we're supposed to identify our strengths, and we both work together on each other, building and bettering those strengths. And my job and her job is to protect our weaknesses, because we don't want nothing to come out here and become vulnerable on our weak moments. So we protect our weaknesses within each other, and we build on our strengths, which means eventually the weakness becomes so small and my strength becomes so large, I don't have to be worried about my weaknesses, because we've overcome that, and we've built a barrier around ourselves so that I will not become vulnerable. But that's our job. And in order to know that, you got to spend time with somebody, get to know them, have good conversations with them, go through tasks and journeys, you know, learning
colors, sounds, and
all that.
What else? Vibrations,
like crystals. There's a whole lot of things you put in your environment,
right,
to help you feel healthy,
right,
you know, and help you, and like that sort of vibrates at a certain level to help you get to that higher level of vibration you're trying to get to, and then just to help you feel good.
And I likened it to a movie. The movies that you see, they use sound, they use shapes, they use colors. Believe it or not, all this is happening at a certain frequency and vibration, and it's delivering a message.
Right.
So you want to create kind of your own movie. You want to produce your own movie in your own space to deliver a message to yourself.
Okay.
And so that's why we use the chakras. But we affect the chakras through the sound,
right,
through the shapes,
right,
through the color. So each
through your
chakra
words,
has
all that, a certain color and vibration,
mantras,
all that,
sound, like good, nice sounds that can stimulate the different chakras, that can relax you. You know, because you know we live in a culture also because I don't think we even realize how much energy is surrounding the planet. I read a book, we call it the technosphere, and all the energy surrounding the planet. And I know you know every other person we meet has anxiety.
Yes,
right. Almost everybody, you know. So it has a lot to do with the vibrations on the planet. So all the communications that go all over the planet every day, all day, millions and billions and millions. I saw something, a documentary, and they show all the energy surrounding the planet. And so now you realize why, if you understood that, you understand that it's the energy around the planet is having an effect on our mental health and our spiritual health, and that's why many of us are so anxiety ridden. So
just overwhelmed.
Yeah, overwhelmed. Yeah.
So when you take on a partner in your journey, I'm not saying totally connected, you just identify, you know, when they're at a place of imbalance, and you try to balance them out, and you don't pounce on that and use that to your advantage. You try to heal that.
One of the things I talk about in the book is, like, when you come to the planet, you come with cosmic guardians, and then you have earth guardians. So you have cosmic guardians and guides, and earth guardians and guides. And so if couples could realize that once you choose each other as a partner, now you have a guardian in your life, somebody who's there to protect you, look out for you, you know, help you grow, help you evolve. And if you keep that in the forefront, you know, even when you have, because you're gonna, no matter, I don't care who we are, you're gonna always have flight moments. You know, you're gonna still have like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. You know, you get upset and all that.
Right, and you have to hold on to that.
Yeah, that person that you
right.
fell in love with, that good stuff. But
so what's some of the best strategies for people who are looking to find that partner in dating?
Well, I think I like the one where you answer for you.
No. You tell me because I can't remember.
I like it where they say you have to have a plan of action.
Right.
And that's what I was asking before the show. Like, you have to actually have a plan of action to meet someone.
Right. Exactly.
And have a plan of action to get to know them.
Exactly.
Through the different levels of dating.
Right.
Okay.
Nobody tells you you have to have a plan of action.
Right, you're right.
Because we just get dressed up, get our hair done, and that's my plan of action. I'm going to show up somewhere and be cute, and
right,
voila,
exactly.
it's going to happen. And it doesn't
Right.
work like
And see, the
that.
thing is, first of all, the first thing you want to do is recognize that everything unfolds in stages. So I talk about in the book the four stages of dating, right? So everything in life, everything goes through a process, right? And I can't remember my stages, but I think the first stage was, you have the first stage is conception, which is attraction. The second stage is what? Birth. And that's commitment, right? The third stage is, I can't remember, what was it? I had my thing on the page. Attraction, commitment, maturity, I think it is.
Oh, conception, considerations.
No, that's so conception. Okay, go on. So that's the attraction stage, right?
Dating strategies.
You got a bunch of dating strategies, right? Task at that stage. Then you have the commitment stage. Then you have the maturity stage, and then you have the transformation stage. And so what happens is you understand everything's going to go through that process. What happens for a lot of us, we'll go through all the stages in a day. People do that. They'll go through, oh, I like him. Okay, let's go home, have sex, right? So now, then it matures that day, right? Oh, I don't like him, I don't like her, right? And then it transforms, it either dies or goes to the next level, right? That's what transformation is. It means that it either goes to the next level or it's going to die, right? So people might do it in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, or however it goes, right? But that's why one of the most significant strategies you can do is let it unfold naturally. Take your time. That's the only way you're going to be able to really see and really get to know who it is you're dealing with. And a lot of us don't feel like we have a whole lot of time, but that's the only way you're going to be able to do it, though.
But then we go back to know thyself. That means this. When I met Dr. Ra, who today is my wife, what I was looking for was, I'm on a spiritual journey. I'm a seeker. I want to know more. I want to know the truth. I want to know why, what it is. I want to know. I want to know what it is that I see. I want to know what it is that I hear. I want to know what it is that we're all dealing with. And I want to know. So when you decide who you are or where you're trying to, and I'm not saying, I still, of course, society work, all the basic one-on-one fundamental things that it takes, and I'm not going to, into a place where I become irresponsible. But being responsible, and then she's that same character. She's a writer, she teaches relationships, and I didn't know any of these things prior to meeting her. I didn't know anything about her prior to meeting her. But as I met her and then we discussed, we had conversations, then she ended up, I wasn't able to prejudge anything. I had to take it one stage at a time. So I couldn't make any prejudged decisions before I knew by fact this is what I was looking for. Okay, so for her to express to me her credentials wouldn't have got anything to do with me. It's about your practice, not what you say. So because I was seeking that in my own journey, and then us having conversations and her dropping tidbits about what her journey was, that was part of the glue that says, what I saw from the beginning and what I felt from the beginning is what it is, because even her journey, her ending stage is the same as mine. And that's part of the book expresses you how to know yourself, know where you're going, have a plan.
Value yourself.
Right.
And then you all can work it together.
Right, so she wants us to go through some of these stages. So, because that's the thing too, like put a plan. I hear women saying they want a mate, and they want a partner, and then they never get out the house and they don't do anything. Right. And you don't make any effort toward it. I'm like, so what do you expect they're going to come knock on your door? You know what I'm saying? So you have to take some action. I mean, and one of the things I would always say to students is like, it's particularly with women, you know, we're serious about our career, getting our education, and other things that we want, getting that house, you know, and all that. But you say you want a man, you know, you want a partner, but you're not putting any effort toward it, and so it's not going to just fall out the sky. So you can be passive about it, you know, and then hopefully as you meet them in the course of your day-to-day, what you do and things like that, or you can be assertive about it. If it's really important to you, then you're going to put some energy and effort into it. That's like you do it for anything else. And so, yeah, you got to put a plan in action. You know, you can't just sit and think somebody's going to knock on your door. You know, it could happen. I mean, somebody come to fix something. Anything could happen.
And so,
Right.
Some of the advice I think was really good was not having any expectations.
Okay.
So,
Was that hard for you?
me? No, because I expect that. Well, I trust my own spirit.
Okay.
Okay.
So I trust my spirit to not, you know, if I'm connected, you know,
Then
because
you're right.
sometimes you can meet somebody and they'll show you off balance, and then you can meet other people and say, you know what, that was a good day,
Yeah.
and I need to go back to whatever I was doing on that day. But I just didn't know you had to plan to meet someone. I mean, you know, you plan, but it's
Plan everything else.
But you know, it's just like, oh, I'm going to the club to meet. I'm not the club, but you know.
Yeah, you can meet them there too. I mean, that's where a lot of people congregate. That's where people meet people. They meet people at the club. I mean,
So I'm going to the club and I'm gonna meet my man.
right. Most of us, y'all know y'all going out to meet somebody.
But don't have any expectations.
But what I'm saying, you know, I know women, we go out. Now, being honest with ourselves, a lot of us, when I used to go out to the club and everything, I'm going out because I want to meet somebody. Some of us will go out because we want to have fun, but we're going out because hopefully we meet somebody, right? Just being honest with ourselves, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you can meet people anywhere. You know, your soul make it be at a club. In fact, did I meet you at the club? No, I was joking. No, I didn't meet them. But what happened was they were building out a restaurant, and I had a friend who said, but we at this club, and I was like, I'm so bored, I don't know what to do. Let me just go on downtown and hang out with him on the balcony. There was nothing there to do. And then I met him. You see? So I met him through a mutual friend, but still, you never know where they're going to be. So, yeah, it's okay.
But let me tell you about that time.
No, I don't want to do that yet. Let's
Well,
stick with some of the strategies, okay?
Okay,
Right.
that's
we come
good.
back to that, right? Because
Yeah.
you're talking about us too much.
Well,
No. Okay, so you know, be aware that money isn't everything.
But I speak to guys on that, and women too, because a lot of us get. See, that's the thing too.
Why do guys need to hear that?
Because guys think some guys think that as long as they're spending money, that's all they have to do. They don't have to be respectful.
And then from a male perspective too, is if we don't have our money right,
That's the other thing.
then we're not going to date. 'Cause
Right.
we can't take them out the way we feel that we should be able to take them out, so then therefore we don't do it.
Right. And you still, but what guys miss a lot of times, they don't realize all the small things that really matter. And one of the things I tell the kids in my class, just the way you look at a woman can really make her feel special. It's just that simple. If you give her a really intense look, like, wow, you know, like, you'd be surprised what that would do for a woman. It's like, wow, he thinks I'm that special. You see what I'm saying? So it's not always about the money.
but I want to expand on that because man to man, that's a big issue.
Yeah.
He says, I'm not ready yet, I can't handle this. But that goes to the value system. I am a great deal more valuable than money. Now, what I mean by that is this. There's no doubt that there come times in people's lives, not saying personally, but I know the journey of life, that you may have suffered a glitch in your life and you don't have all the money you would like. Okay? That doesn't make you less than a man or a person.
Right.
It just says that this is just a moment that I'm dealing with in this moment. But I know that this moment will switch. See, everybody has a moment. It's not always, the burden is not always on one individual. The burden is on both. They just have different times. Different times. There's different times. So I would not allow the value of money to stop me from making a phone call because I'm creative. I can take a walk in the park, and we can have good
And you'd be
and we can have good
surprised.
conversations, and just that moment, the look, and the power that resonates from a woman to a man, and pumps up his heart, and allows him to now do the things that he needs to do to get that job because now he feels a lot better, He's had good conversation. He's got some stuff off his chest. And because of her, he got a job the next day. But if I refused to think that I was valuable enough because I only had $10 instead of $200, I'd never got that opportunity.
Right, and see, that's the thing, going back to the culture. The culture focuses so much on materialism. Now, a lot of women, too, the women don't, we, brothers don't seem like you got any money, you be like, oh, no, this, But, so you got to start putting people's value based on their pockets. That's what I used to talk about a lot, too, is that people's value is not based on where they are financially, although finances is important. We're not going to say it's not.
Right. So
but you can't, it helps in the journey because nobody wants to be, can't do nothing because you don't have no money. Right?
And I think you kind of alluded to that or talked about that in the beginning when you say, the parental styles. If you always struggled growing up, it was never enough. You're constantly on hypersensitivity to that. Exactly. So you're constantly looking for that stability outside of yourself. And I just think when I came to terms with I'm okay, I can take care of myself, that frees you up to date who you really want to date.
I can't tell you how important that was for me. Because my thing is I don't want to be stuck with somebody just because they got money and they disrespecting me, treat me any old kind of way, and some women tolerate that because somebody has money. Like I gotta have my own, so I don't have to make a decision based on what his finances is. Right. That is so, definitely. But it's a couple other things here, like some women, and I'm talking about men and women, but like some, you don't want to come off desperate, because too needy, all those kind of things that can really be a real turnoff for people.
Manage your expectations.
And that's big. Right, because a lot of we go on a date or a couple of dates or however we do it, and then now you have these expectations. You expect somebody to do this or that or this, and they don't do it. So then now next time they get in contact with you, now you have a bad attitude, right? So if I was on the other end of that phone and I called somebody and they had a bad attitude, and I'm like, I don't think I want to do this. You see what I'm saying? But you have a bad attitude because you had expectation about what you thought it was going to be.
False expectations.
And it's false. It's just something you created in your own mind. Right. You created it in your own mind. You created this story. Now the story's not coming to fruition the way you thought it was going to be. And so now you're upset. And so now the person calls you. You're like, well, you didn't call me. I can't tell you how many women do that. Right? Why didn't you call me? No, you don't want to do that.
So, is it okay to ask that question?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Ask what question?
Depends
on
why
you didn't call me?
Yeah, that's just crazy.
Because a lot of people say it.
Oh, no, they do. He didn't call.
Let me tell you the magic in this, because people don't understand how
this.
Don't do it. I know life is happening. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I can't
I wasn't speaking about anybody individually.
Yeah.
But what happens is in life, when you become mature and
people don't see women, but people in there.
And if you want to talk to somebody,
just call
them.
Just call them. That's it.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying about some strategy. You got to have a little. You got to play it like it's work, and I'm not saying it's game. It's more being a little sophisticated with it, right? So you give the person time to see if they're interested. You don't want to start
reading between the lines.
Right. So I mean,
and that's what not being needy.
Yeah, give it a chance to see if they're interested, because if you're doing all the calling, then the other person can't tell. Particularly for women, if you're calling him all the time, then you don't have anything to see whether or not he's really interested in you. You see what I'm saying? So.
Well, I didn't say all the time.
Right. Okay. All the time. Right. But I'm just saying, when it starts off, no, you shouldn't have any expectations, because you're just getting to know the person. You don't know who they are, what they're doing, what's going on in their life. So you don't want to call somebody and say, why didn't you call me? You just don't. Or if they call you, why didn't you call me? You just don't want to do that.
And keep it moving.
Right.
I hear a lot of men complain about this with women. Women are acting like men. They just dating everything. But some women stop dating once they have met someone who has gotten their attention, and while they are waiting, men are having all the fun.
Right.
You sit on the square, you have a female everywhere. So that's my song. But so women do that.
Right.
When we meet somebody we really like,
then we just sit there and raise it down. Right.
And you're saying to stay open.
No, you keep it moving. Like, it's like if I'm dating, right, and say I meet a guy that I like, well, you like him or whatever, right? There's some interest there, right? But well, it's nice, but, he just called me, so I need to go on and do this date, because, I don't really know what's going on with him. You see what I'm saying? So you just keep it moving, because you're dating. You're trying to find the right person for you. You see? So if he's not showing interest, he probably really is not interested. You see what I'm saying? So then you move on to the next person. When I say men are having all the fun, it's because I used to take that approach. You meet somebody, you like them. Now I guess you're looking at your phone. Did they text me? Back then we had caller ID, right?
Right.
You mentioned caller ID. Did they call?
Right. Sitting
by the phone, right? Mm-hmm. And so then when I learned how to date, when I started finding the strategies, and I had like 2 or 3, I was having conversations with, and I was like, wow, this is a lot of fun. But what you don't want to do is have them meet you at your house. You don't want to do that early.
No drinking in the beginning.
You don't want to drink early on, because that makes your defenses go down. And then you do things that you wouldn't normally do. Mm-hmm. Right, impairs your judgment. Mm-hmm. Right, you don't want to entertain people in a close quarters where there's not, like in some communities, like the Muslim community, you have to always be public. Right, so if you stay public, then it keeps you from, because you get people in the room, y'all into an attraction, stuff's going to happen. It's just natural. It's just natural. So you want to keep yourself from doing that, because you're really still trying to get to know who this person is. And then so what happens is when you have intimacy too early, then now you start making decisions based on that connection you had. You see, so if you start to have the physical intimacy, then you be like, man, that was really good, and I think I really like him, or,
Right.
But as time's going on, you realize, first of all, he's not responding. You realize that he might not be reliable, or, the other way around too. So you got to see who they are, right? But because you already, I call it higher levels of intimacy, it's almost like you expose yourself and you're naked in front of somebody without them getting to know who they are on other levels. So now you're physically exposed, which makes you feel a little vulnerable, especially for women, right?
And that comes from not getting to know.
Well, it comes from having physical intimacy too early in the process. You see what I'm saying? So now you feel more vulnerable. Some women don't, because some women, the people are doing different kind of things now. But I think men and women are built a little differently, and a lot of us do start to have. They say women have oxytocin, but that's what makes us start to bond, right. Especially if you're having those repeated experiences with a guy. So you start to bond with him, and now you start to having these feelings. And then it's an internal experience. Somebody's. It's not the external. It's, somebody's getting inside. Tim could talk about that. Getting inside your flower, or whatever you want to call it. And so you start to have these experiences, and so now you, as time is going on, you realize he's not the person you should be with, but because you've made those choices with him, now you're trying to make it work, right? And, so, it's probably not, somebody that's not a good idea.
Because you left that energy on your field.
Right. And
when you do that, he left something there.
Right.
He left something there.
And it's challenging because we're all young adults, right? And young adults, you're in the procreative stage of the life cycle, which means your body's, the hormones are raging out of control, right? So women need and want it just like men do, But unfortunately, it's all the stuff that goes on, because I don't know about guys. I hear guys say, physical intimacy, some of them have said it's just like an activity or something to do. They might not have the same experience with it that we do. And so that's why,
same value to it.
Or the same value to it. And the same thing, like in terms of how you start. They might not start bonding as quick as we do, all those kinds of things.
Right.
So that's why you kind of want to take your time and get to know, so that you don't start making decisions based on that decision. Mm-hmm. And you're making decisions based on, like I started, they call it talk about the 3 brains, the emotional brain. You don't want to make the decisions based on the emotional brain. You want to make decisions based on the more intellectual, more spiritual brain. Let the spiritual brain help you make your decisions, because that emotional brain will get you in trouble. If you start making it based on your emotions, your emotions and stuff.
So well, we are at 8:45. So what I want, time is flying. So what I want to do is, first of all, let y'all tell people all other services y'all do. Mm-hmm. So, because I think a lot of people.
What else you have going on?
What you got going on? And after you do that, I want both of you to speak to the audience. Whatever's on your spirit at this moment, I want each of you to say what you got on your spirit.
I want to first thank them for coming.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much, and blessing the audience, blessing the studio.
And Kevin and myself as well.
Okay.
Well, just
And
thank you
thank
all.
you for writing the book.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
all for inviting us and having us and being in a position to put a word out, to be able to give somebody something to work with to make their journey better. You know, because that's what it's all about. It's about the intentions. What's our intention of being on this planet? It's giving something when we're here and also when we're gone that would feed and help develop a better person.
Right.
You know, and that's the bottom line. Right now, we have many things that we do, but we've decided to take a small hiatus.
You are, not me.
Well, I you know, because the work is vast. But anyhow,
He's going to, anyway. Okay.
yeah. Anyhow,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. That's personal.
Okay.
So you're going to speak.
Okay. Yeah. So I do relationships coaching and or just counseling, whatever you want to call it. But I help people. I can help you walk through relationship, help couples communicate through issues, and help kind of coach couples through issues that they're having, or even people individually. You know, if you want some individual help in terms of helping you work through your stuff and helping you, giving you some dating strategies and how to deal with a relationship or a partner, then I'm available to do that.
Okay.
And we have a website, relationshipstalk.com is one of the websites, and the other website is universalconsciousnessinc.com.
Mm-hmm.
So those are right. Oh, okay.
Yeah, relationships.
Tips Talk, right. So there's a
Relationships
lot
with
of,
an S.
right.
In case you're listening,
Now,
talk.
Right, so there's a lot of articles that come out every day on that. I don't do them, but I just pull from other ones, and so they kind of show you, you know, just gives you relationship advice and dating advice and
Correct.
stuff like that.
What I will say is this, and this is a passion of mine, and I love giving back. I am open, and to the brothers, if we want to have a brother mentor group that we can discuss as mentors, and then have an open door to the younger brothers out here to have good conversations, man, about what they're going through, and let's guide them, because nothing's new under the sun. There's nothing new. What you're going through, we've already been through. And I'm glad to talk to you, walk you through it, give you some dating skills, mentor skills, even just some life survival skills. If my brother, if you want to really dig in, because there's no doubt our community's needy.
Mm-hmm.
Brothers are rare. Good men are hard to find, and we need these brothers, man, to understand how to do things better, because it's dangerous out here.
Yeah.
And a lot of brothers like us are few and far between to protect them from the things that they may be doing out of just being natural, just being them natural selves, that can cause harm.
Yeah.
In
I think that's
relationships,
what- yeah.
families, and just period, just bad decisions. So I'd be glad to send out my brother. And I'm always, if you want to contact me, you can contact me through my brother, and he can contact me, and we can have a conversation, and we can start a group, start sessions at locations, whatever you choose. And we can make sense out of it.
Yeah, and that's what I think. I think we need desperately. We need, you know, women groups that help women try to navigate through some of the challenges, because a lot of us are really hurting out here.
Yeah, big
We're really
time.
hurting. We don't know how to do
And that's
relationship.
why I thought this show was
A lot of
so
women-
important.
Yeah, and a lot of women are really sad, you know, and feel
Bitter.
lonely, and because it's not, you know, it's not natural to be in the world by, you know, to feel like you're by yourself. You know, everybody wants a partner, everybody wants a relationship. You know, that's what we were put here for. You know, to be in relationships with each other. And so I think we do need a group, you know, to be able to have, well, women can have mentoring, and then, but we desperately need it for the men. Oh my God, it's so needed, and so.
These are other books by Dr. Ra. African American Relationships, Marriages, and Families, and we want for our sisters what we want for ourselves. It's about women who are choosing to be involved in polygamous relationships. And then we have the newest one,